get your 200th episode bicentennial long tee this week. And I got to thank the designer, Alicia Cole, for a great design of the logo. Thank you, Alicia. Just in time for fall, it's at castropolis.net. Look for the details. We don't take a lot of advertising money because we want to keep the message pure. We want to deliver it the way it should be delivered. So this is a fun way and a sporty way to support the podcast. And we just appreciate you guys. Thank you so much, man. 200 episodes. A lot of you have been here since the beginning. A lot of you have found us along the way, and we just appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Go to castropolis.net and order your limited edition bicentennial shirt today. This is the G Podcast Daily.
Today is Monday, November 6th. It's Motivation Monday, and this is the G Podcast Daily. 5 minutes of news and knowledge to get you through your day. Let's get it.
Start the clock.
And on this day,
in 1973, Coleman Young became the first black mayor of Detroit. In 1976, FCC Commissioner Benjamin Hooks was elected NAACP Executive Director. He served 16 years before retiring in 1992. In 1990, former Charlotte Mayor Harvey Gantt lost to Jesse Helms, failing to become the first black senator from the South since Reconstruction. Meanwhile, in 1990, Barbara Rose Collins of Michigan, Maxine Waters of California, and Eleanor Holmes Norton of D.C. were all elected to Congress.
Here's news from UNN with Alexander Caden.
This is UNN, Urban Network News, national news and information for one of our people of color. I'm Alexander Caden. North Carolina's voter photo identification law, enacted nearly 5 years ago by the Republican-controlled legislature but blocked by litigation, is just now getting implemented with local elections that wrap up this week. Some voter education and civil rights advocates, however, remain concerned the new process is slowing down the voting process and is likely a dress rehearsal for voter ID in 2024, when over 5 million people are expected to cast ballots in close races for president and governor of North Carolina. One of the 5 Memphis Police Department officers accused of murdering Tyre Nichols has officially pleaded guilty to his federal indictment. Desmond Mills Jr. stands charged with excessive force, deliberate indifference, conspiracy to witness tamper, and obstruction of justice. If he had not taken the plea, it would have resulted in a life sentence with a conviction on all counts. His plea came into exchange for cooperation with prosecutors, who recommended the former cop serve just 15 years. Now that he's decided to talk, we might get the whole story on the killing of Tyre Nichols. Democrats on the Senate Judiciary Committee are using their investigative powers to uncover details about members of the U.S. Supreme Court and their connections to wealthy right-wing donors. The committee is slated to take up a vote to subpoena the donors to testify about their relationships with Supreme Court justices, one of them being Clarence Thomas. Federal authorities are reportedly investigating whether New York City's black mayor Eric Adams' 2021 campaign conspired with the Turkish government to receive illegal campaign donations. President Biden is calling for a humanitarian pause in the Israeli-Hamas war. The White House has refused to call for a ceasefire, but has signaled the Israelis should consider humanitarian pauses to allow civilians to receive aid and foreign nationals to leave. You've been listening to UNN, Urban Network News. For more national news and information for and about people of color, visit our website at myunn.net.
Episode 200, DC The Brain Supreme, is available now. Subscribe on your favorite podcast app or just go to castropolis.net.
Your G clip of the day.
My goal is always to learn what they know. Because how many times you heard this? They don't teach us that. They ain't supposed to.
Right.
Don't nobody owe you nothing. Ain't nobody gonna give you nothing. Don't nobody care.
Listen to This is the G Podcast and subscribe. All links at castropolis.net. It's Motivation Monday.
This is Pastor D with your Monday Motivational Minute. I want to speak to you today about the 39th President of the United States, President Jimmy Carter. What a life. What a legacy. President Carter came to Washington, D.C. not as a wheeler and a dealer, but a wheeler and a healer. Yes, he brought about healing. Look at the Israeli and Egyptian conflict. Look at how he brought Menachem Begin and Anwar Sadat to the table of peace. And even with all the things that are going on in Palestine and Israel today, he was a man of peace. President Carter's life was so lived that in 2002, he received the Nobel Peace Prize. I am glad that I'm a Georgian. I am glad that there is, if you will, a President Jimmy Carter to look to in times like these, to say there is a man who was his authentic self, even when he was almost in a foreign land. Have a great day.
Thanks for stopping by, y'all. This is the G Podcast Daily, news and knowledge to help you get through your Motivation Monday, November 6th, 2023. Have a great day.
You've been listening to This is the G Podcast. This is the G Podcast is a production of the Castropolis Podcast Network. Thanks for listening.